Hi, how y'all doing? My name is Tyler. I'm the Vice President of the Winthrop College Republicans.
And I'm Leslie. I'm the Secretary of Affairs here. And today we have Mr. Lee Bright. Mr. Lee Bright is one of the most conservative men in the state, conservative firebrand, beloved by Mr. Jim DeMint and the Tea Party. And we just are enthusiastic about him being with us here today. And the first question is for Mr. Bright is, what initially made you decide to run for office?
I had children that were starting elementary school, and I decided to run for the school board. And at one of my first board meetings, I was able to stop a contract that there was some insider dealing, and I was able to stop the contract, and a lot of folks started pushing me to run for something else. And I served out my term on the school board, and then I ran for the state senate in 2004 and actually lost. We were up by 200 votes when the computers went down, but we lost by 21. But then we were able to win in 2008 and in 2012, and then 2016 wasn't quite as favorable for us. But really, it was just wanting to get involved. I never had any intention. Quite frankly, I thought you had to be a lawyer to be in politics. I mean, everybody I knew was in politics.
That's how it usually is, you think?
That was my gut feel.
Yeah.
I was an attorney and let them handle it. And then got involved, but I never thought I would run for. I never thought I'd run for the school board, much less run for the state senate.
Well, you were in the Senate for 8 years. So what's the piece of legislation that you feel like you're most proud of?
I was able to pass a bill that said that if you get terminated for cause in the state of South Carolina, you wouldn't receive unemployment benefits. The unemployment system was teetering, if not insolvent, and we were basically getting bailed out by the federal government, which a lot of states were having some hard times. One of the contributing factors that was the fact we had people that were getting fired from jobs and still drawing unemployment. And obviously the employers have to pay for that. And they were looking at tax increases on the employers. So we were able to pass the bill. It was ironic the way it all took place. We pushed it through. They gave us second reading, and then they wouldn't give us third reading, so they intended for the bill to die. So on the last day of the session, when they're trying to pass all these other bills, I basically hijacked the Senate floor and filibustered till 4:45 or about 4:30, somewhere in there, because you have to stop at 5. Yeah. And one of the other senators said, "We got these other bills we've got to get passed. You need to give up the floor." And I said, "I'm going to give up the floor when we get third reading on the bill." And they said, "Well, you can't get third reading without unanimous consent." And I said, "Well, the unanimous consent's your problem. I'm going to hold the floor, nothing else is going to pass." So they got unanimous consent for third reading of the bill, and that's how it became law. So, that was just, you learn the rules of the Senate, and then you use them to advance your cause. And I remember the state chamber, which was very dishonest throughout my campaign. They spent a lot of money, and it kind of reminds me of the Bible verse, "What does a man gain? If he gains the whole world, loses his soul." And the chamber is a soulless organization, and they push so hard for all these different things. But the big thing was, this thought of forcing businesses to allow people to use whichever bathroom they decide. And to basically find the business when if a man wants to go in the ladies' room, the business doesn't want to allow it, the business is in jeopardy. And that was something real that they were trying to pass in the Columbia City Council. They defeated Cameron Runyon. He was the one that got that stopped. But, that was something that really mattered. We fought hard for it, but the fact that the chamber ignored the good we did for the businesses on the unemployment tax and went after something that they were on the wrong side of the social issues is really discouraging.
And speaking of that, I'd say that bill helped contribute to low unemployment in South Carolina. But some people would say some of your views are controversial. What would you say to them?
Well, my views are very conservative. I think they're in tune with the average South Carolinian. It's out of touch with the media. The problem we have with my election, I don't take it as the Republican Party shifting. I believe it was the fact that we had a lot of Democrats voting the Republican primary. Case in point, one of the people that was there, that was supporting Talley, pulled up with a bumper sticker that said Obama in the parking lot. So, Democrats turned out, and they in South Carolina, we don't have registration by party. That's a bill that I pushed. We were able to force a vote on the Senate floor. We only got 8 votes for it. So many of the Republicans are for Democrats. They hold a lot of Democrat views, and they're able to keep their seats based on Democrat turnouts in Republican primaries. And what we should do is, like other states, we should register by party, and that the Republicans can elect a Republican candidate, let the Democrats elect the Democrat. Yeah. It's very unfair to have Democrats deciding, who the Republican. But in the end, I'm a big believer in personal responsibility, and the Republicans should have turned out and voted. Right. But there's so many Republicans that believe that they just vote in the general election for whoever the nominee is, and they've done their part,
Yeah.
and they haven't.
I mean, they don't realize that there's two elections.
Right.
So,
And the first one matters more than the second one.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the second, everything's so gerrymandered.
Right.
You know, you're gonna have a Democrat or Republican based on how the districts go. But who that Democrat or Republican is what matters.
well, you were part of the William Wallace Caucus, and recently we were in the state legislature when they went to the vote of if Senator Hugh Leatherman would be the Senate president again, and there were 9 senators that voted against him being the president. We actually were paging for Wes Clymer, who he's one of those that did that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you feel like that's an attribution, at least an attribution to that caucus, or do you think that's like kind of a continuation
Well,
of it?
I was a little disappointed that there weren't more. I mean, the fact, and politics is amazing. I remember listening to a gentleman speak probably in 2004 before I was elected to the Senate, and he was talking about being in Washington and the fact that Ted Kennedy was one of the people that he enjoyed most having conversations with. So you have to separate the personal from the politics. And I consider Senator Leatherman a friend, but the fact that he has openly stated that he will not fulfill one of the only duties of the pro tem, and is to become the lieutenant governor, that's spelled out that is what he's supposed to do. The fact that he says he's not going to do what the office requires, then I think they should have elected someone else. And I definitely couldn't have voted for him.
Well, I mean, because as of now, it looks like if he doesn't want to do that part, if they do end up interpreting the Constitution as the Senate president becomes lieutenant governor, he's basically just going to have to step down,
Right.
and then someone becomes Senate pro tem. They get succeeded, and he runs
It makes
for
a
pro
mockery
tem.
of the Constitution is what it does. And I don't think that's right. I would implore him not to do that, but he's already said he will, and I doubt. He usually does what he says, and that's one thing with I appreciate about it. I used to get upset with my colleagues when they would vote for things that were, left of what I believe the Republican Party stands for, but I didn't get upset with Leatherman because he knew where he was.
Yeah.
I mean, Senator Leatherman has a certain set of beliefs. I don't agree with most of them, but he stands with that. I mean, he was a Democrat before, and he's got a lot of those leanings, and his district has chosen to send him back. So that's his purview. But as a senator, had I been in office at the time, there's no way I could have supported him openly saying he was going to ignore that constitutional role.
Yeah. And that's very important. Why do you think so many Democrats, though, voted for him to be in that position?
Well, because when he's in that position, I mean, he sides. A lot of times he's with them on issues, and they want somebody in that position of power that they feel like they've got influence. And like I said, he and I have agreed on issues in the past. Forcing businesses or not businesses, but forcing builders and private individuals to install sprinkler systems. He was instrumental in stopping that bill. So we were on the same side on some issues, but I would say, in the scope of thing, we were more often on opposite sides than on the same.
Yeah.
Going back to the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce is, for the state at least, has been growing incentively for big business and really just been opposing small businesses, and then they kind of attacked you. And it made no sense. So can you elaborate on that?
Well, they are, and I said this from the floor, and that's probably upset them, but they are the epicenter of crony capitalism in the state of South Carolina. They want to pick the winners and losers. They're going to obviously shield towards their higher donors. They're the groups that basically pay the bills. And that's what I found in Columbia is that the big businesses have the representation because they basically and to go a step further, even like the realtors and groups like that, they're always looking to try to find ways to basically prevent competition. I mean, they want to put more continuing education requirements on. They want big government to be involved, and they say it's for the consumer, and it's not for the consumer.
Right.
They do it because they want less competition. And I think the marketplace should determine how much competition is out there. If there's too much competition, less people are going to do it because there's not going to be any money in it.
Right.
But they believe they should control, and it's systematic in Columbia. It's a problem that there were very few of us recognized, and they wanted to eliminate the ones of us that did.
Right.
And I was kind of the spearhead, and really, I think the issue the chamber had, the bathroom bill, I think, was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back with them. I voted against all the incentives, and and however you feel about the Confederate flag, that was an issue they really had against me. But to blame the folks that fought on the side of the South for what Dylan Roof did, to me was just intellectually dishonest. It was looking for a scapegoat. I mean, that guy was a lunatic. He had American flags, and I don't want to quote Farrakhan any more than I have to, but Farrakhan talked about what black folks have gone through under the American flag. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's face it, this country has and racism is a term that is very prevalent, but it's more ignorance. Mm-hmm. People saw different, they didn't appreciate it, and they were ignorant, and they mistreated one another because the pigmentation of their skin. Mm-hmm. But I think we've gotten beyond that. I really believe we've gotten beyond that, but there are people that benefit from it, so they want to perpetuate it. Mm-hmm. But quite frankly, I could not, and then I remember the state chamber came out with this thing praising, they listed every member in their publication that voted to take down the Confederate flag about how courageous they were. Well, I got to tell you, they were, well, that didn't take courage, because the media, you had the entire media, the worldwide media, trying to stigmatize any person that had anything to say that, hey, maybe we need to think about this. Because, quite frankly, I would not have put it on the dome to begin with. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't on the dome. It was a compromise that was done that basically said, we're going to have the soldiers' monument, we're going to put the flag there, and Senator Pinckney even agreed to it. Mm-hmm. And everybody said, this is the compromise, and now we're done. And the fact that the national media did that with the help of the chamber, and I was told, and I can't prove this, but I was told by another senator who was a Democrat, that basically there was a corporation that was going to come to South Carolina that had a meeting and said, we're not going to come if you don't take down the Confederate flag. And one corporation was allowed to do that, if that's true. And I believe it to be true because the senator told me that's never lied to me before. But to think that business is going to control what we do in our state and who we blame, I mean, Dylan Roof, what he did was terrible. But to blame people that fought for their homes, and quite frankly, many black people fought for the South. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's that there were times, and I've said this from the floor, and I may get in a filibuster here, but you look at the 1700s, you look at the slave trade, and I say you look at abortion now. Mm-hmm. Throughout our history, under our flag, we've had things that shouldn't be legal that are legal. Mm-hmm. And I'm ashamed of those things. But I think the net gain in what happened with the West and what happened with the United States and the impact we've had on the entire world, I would say that if you argue it hasn't been positive, you're delusional. So, I mean, the net result's been positive, but we have made mistakes. And I think we've learned from it.
Yeah. And speaking with the businesses, I know I've heard before about the NCAA, the National College Association of Sports, whatever, talking about they wouldn't host a tournament here because of the flag. And now that the flag's gone, they're going to host the ACC tournament in Greenville, actually. Mm-hmm. I think Bob Jones.
Well, let's go one step further. The ACC moved the championship game from Charlotte to Orlando because North Carolina said that we're not going to allow businesses to be fined. We're not going to allow their restrooms to be controlled by the state. Mm-hmm. And as someone that I grew up out in the country, and I quite frankly, I lived by geography, so my friends were the ones I could walk to see, and I had as many black friends as white friends. And to compare what folks of color have gone through in the history of our country to what these people that are confused about their sex are going through is insane. Right. I mean, you've had people that were drugged by pickup trucks on backcountry. I mean, you've had people killed. And if I tell you that you have to use the restroom of your sex to say those are the same, that's offensive. I mean, and for our chamber, for our state chamber, to jump in there, and none of this came out. If you look at the timeline of the state chamber's endorsement of my opponent and announcing that they were going after me, if you look at that timeline, it was exactly after I sponsored that bill.
What's next, Mr. Bright? I've seen you've been still been active in the political realm. So can you tell us about that?
Well, our churches are failing us miserably. I mean, I've been very upset. I mean, we've got the ERLCs. I was on their board at one time with the Southern Baptist Convention. They take money right out of the plate, and they've been on the wrong side of so many issues. I mean, it's amazing that we're not getting involved in missions in our churches as we should. Because I think what we really face as a country and a state is really, we got a sin problem, and it's running rampant, and we don't address it. So I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I do know that I feel like I was called to do what I did, and although, I'm an imperfect messenger, I feel like I did what I could, and I felt some purpose there. I don't know what's next. I need to make a living. I had somebody tell me, we believe you're honest because so many people, they go to get involved in politics and they're poor and they leave rich. And you had some money when you started and you left without any. So, but no, I don't know what's next. I mean, I don't feel like I'm done. I don't feel like that, you look at Kevin Bryant, and I don't want to spend 2 hours on the bathroom bill. I don't know how much time you have, but Kevin Bryant, myself, Larry Martin, and Mike Fair were the four that were supportive of the bathroom bill. So Kevin Bryant, I think, won by 80 votes. I was beaten, Martin was beaten, and Fair was beaten. I think at some point, social conservatives are going to have to stand up because it's getting to the point where anybody that stands on social, Pat McCrory just lost the governorship of North Carolina, and this less than 1% of the population is saying either you agree with us or we're coming after you, and it's not. And I don't pity politicians. I don't, I've always tried to say I'm not a politician, but I'm not. I'm more concerned about the businesses that are constantly threatened. I mean, what I would like to see, and I don't know if I'm the person to lead this or somebody else, and I know the American Family Group gets involved, but I don't think they're as effective as they should be. But I'd love to see Christians come together and say, hey, Target, we're not shopping, which they did. They put a hit on theirs. But if Christians got together and started to mobilize, and you take the Christians versus the less than 1% in the homosexual community that are driving their agenda, and we said, you know what, we really don't want to see you having two women walk down the aisle in your commercial. As a matter of fact, we're never going to shop at your jewelry store again. I'd like to see that. I would like to see us vote with our pocketbooks, and right now we're not doing it.
Right.
So I've got a lot, it's bad enough to be ADD, but I got a lot that I'm thinking. I see so many areas, holes that need to be filled, but I'm trying to read my Bible more, pray more, and figure out where I'm supposed to be, because right now I don't know what's next. If something opens up, I'll be interested, but it's 8 years in the Senate I've served now, 4 years on the school board. That's 12 years of public service. That ought to be enough, but I don't have that peace that I feel like I should have, so there may be something next. And you guys give me encouragement. I mean, they're young conservatives. Josiah Magnuson, I don't know if you've met him, incredible young man, just got elected to the House. Stephen Long, incredible young man, just got elected to the House. So, I mean, they're young people that are really inspiring me, because I think folks my age and older have gotten beaten down and just accept that our society's in decline, and we just have to manage that decline. And your generation, I think, you look after the 60s and the free love and all that. I mean, this country does turn back, and I'm hoping we do.
Well, since you went kind of down on a personal road a little bit, what's something about you that not many people know? Something kind of maybe interesting that not many people would know about?
I am I'm dyslexic. I didn't realize till after I got out of high school. And actually when I was in college, it was actually after college at one of my first full-time jobs when I kind of discovered it. And, but it's something that, I struggles with. It's hard to read a lot in volumes, but, that's the advantage of the internet now. And computers, I mean, it's, you kind of learn to get to the point, and you can actually handle even more volume because you've got to learn that. Right. But no, I'm an introvert. I didn't realize that either. And JFK was an introvert, but you know, I've kind of, you know, tried to be introspective a little at times, and you know, it's wild being an introvert and being in politics, you know, but I am. But I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
No, it's perfect, Mr. Bright. What is your message to young voters in and out this segment?
Well, I mean, you got to be involved because, you know, especially if you can survive the higher ed. If you're in you know an institution now, you know, unless you're at Bob Jones or North Greenville, I mean, there are very few institutions that are biblically based.
Right.
And you know, it's like Webster said, you know, if you take God out, you let the devil in. And if you remove God from instruction, then all this other nonsense gets in there. And I think we've gotten to that point.
Right.
Yeah, I've been very discouraged. My daughter's at Clemson, and she sent me the pictures of Transgender Week. You know, and it's mental illness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's mental illness, and we're celebrating it. And people with mental illness need help.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to celebrate it.
Right.
And I'm not saying you throw bricks at them, but we need to love them.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to explain to them that, you know, what you're going through is, you know, something that you need help. And I believe that Romans 1's very clear. It amazes me. We've had members of the Senate stand up and preach the Bible about how, you know, and they try to reconcile that with being for gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very clear. I mean, it's a problem that we all. I'm a sinner. I'm a Christian, but I'm a sinner. I make mistakes every day. I mean, we all know our inner thoughts, and we all think things we shouldn't think, even if we don't act on them.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my Savior says that's all sin. So I'm not saying I'm not a sinner that deserves hell too, but I'm forgiven, and I will not point to any of my sins and say I'm proud of this.
Right.
And that's the problem we got now. Is I mean, we have parades in downtown Spartanburg that you should be proud of, and I'm not going to change. I mean, they can send me out to Columbia or wherever, but I'm still going to hold those truths because that solid rock is what I stand on.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much, Mr. Bright.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bright.